For those that I don't know, and I'm looking around, I feel like I've connected with most of y'all here, but again, Candace Burns, Director of Inclusion and Workforce Development. So for the next few minutes, around 20, 25 minutes, we're hopefully going to provide you with the information you're going to need to be successful as you interview some amazing students. Our Office of Workforce Development, as you all know, we're an integral part of Human Resources, and it's part of our Dana-Farber's Greater Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity efforts. Every summer, we are thrilled to host over 70 interns that are coming to us primarily through our community-based partners with Boston Public Schools and 2 community-based agencies. This is our effort again to build increased access and opportunity exposure to careers in healthcare. The 3 partner schools are within a mile from our Longwood Regional Campus, John D. O'Brien, Fenway High School, Madison Park. And then we have for many years partnered with 2 community-based organizations that are just as close, Sociedad Latina and Youth Enrichment Services. And this year, you may also find that there are some other affiliates that we have are trialing connecting with Boys and Girls Club, Big Brother, Big Sister. We have some applications in from, as well as in a program called Summer Surge. So some additional collaborations are potentially budding this summer, and we're looking forward to partnering with them. You know, my role is really to really thank you for taking the time out to help us interview these students. We are a lean, mean staff of, gosh, Roger, I used to say 2, but you know, we've grown in workforce development, but our student training efforts are really led by Rachida, who you're gonna hear, and Gabby joined our team, you know, a few months ago, and really excited to have her. So with that short, you know, small amount of people, we really lean on each and every one of you to help us in identifying those student trainees that are going to be part of our cohort. As I said, we host 70 workforce development student trainees, but know that there are probably around 700 student interns at Dana-Farber during the summer. So these are a small percentage. Again, our focus is on identifying individuals from historically marginalized communities in our effort to prepare a highly skilled, diverse workforce for Dana-Farber in the future. So with that, we're gonna bring up some slides and move into our deck. At this point, I'm gonna pause and say any questions. Okay. And what I'm also going to do, something a little fun before we get started in our deck. Does anybody want to share their first summer employment opportunity when you were growing up? Does anyone remember? And if so, come off of mute and just share with us.
I worked at Panera. That was my first job when I was 15.
Sorry, who shared that?
Elena.
15 years old. Anything you remember in particular? Maybe the skills you learned, or
I ate a lot of bread. Got a lot of bread. I got to go home with a lot of pastry. Customer service, first and foremost, was the skill I took from that.
Fantastic. And while we go through the deck, if anybody else wants to throw their first summer job into the chat and share it.
Hi, Candace. It's Jen Skolnick. I would love to share because I feel like my first job changed the trajectory of all my jobs. So my first job was when I was 14, was at Fenway Park. Like working, you know, in the stand, like not out in the stands. Girls weren't allowed to do that back in that day, but working in one of the concession stands, like selling hot dogs. But the one thing that it changed for me forever, and my resume will reflect this, I became addicted to working someplace that was like mission-based. Like feeling like people come in and their love for the for the park, for these gross dirty water hot dogs, for the team, for everything. But it made me realize how important it was to be a part of a company that was so well loved. And my resume reflects that I've always gravitated to companies where the employees love it there, the people that come in the door love it there, that anytime I tell anyone where I've worked, you know, especially, I know everyone on the call knows this, when you say you work for Dana-Farber, people's faces light up. Everyone has a story. It's awesome. So that's something I learned when I was 14.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, and very fitting since it's opening day at Fenway Park. So thank you so much.
And I wanted to share, I graduated actually from the John D. O'Brien High School in Roxbury. So I'm always super excited and passionate about being able to speak with the students. And my first job was at Capitol Food Market. I don't know if anyone knows, but it was in Phil's Corner. And I loved it. And I think I loved it because it was so family oriented. And I stayed for several years. And when they eventually closed, you know, I had to find a different home, and I ended up at Panera Bread after that. But I really liked the family atmosphere. Everyone was just like family, and we were so close, and the customer service was great. But that's what I remember. And I still have like a friend from my Capitals days that we always just talk about, but it's nice.
Oh man, Teresa, you took me back. Capitol.
I know.
That's awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing. Anyone else? Again, you can throw it in the chat.
I'll share, Candace. It's Emil. Hi. My first job was working at a police station. I was 15, and my dad was like, he had a friend who was a police officer who worked for Cambridge Police. And so I was supposed to go away for the summer when I was 15 with my grandparents, and they ended up going away. So my dad was like, I have to find something for you to do. So he stuck me in the police station, and I used to go in on Fridays, and like I did the booking stuff for them. So like putting in the information. I think it was a scared straight moment my dad was having with me. But it was a great experience. Nonetheless, till this day, the police officers that I used to work for when I was 15, always, whenever I go into Cambridge and they run into me and they're like, did we scare you? Did you ever get a parking ticket or something like that?
I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh. So, you know, you all sharing your first jobs really, it hits home, because for many of the students that you'll be meeting, this will be their first experience. And we know that regardless of what department they're going to work in, the experience will shape who they are, and hopefully they'll turn out as amazing as each of you are. So we're going to move into our agenda, starting with, and you know, this was kind of an impromptu welcome, but I loved it, and I loved hearing from each of you in terms of your first job. We'll go over, we're turning it over to Rachida now, and we'll talk about an overview of our summer jobs program, the application process, interview process, and of course some Q&A. But feel free to come off mute and ask questions along the way. So with that, Rachida.
Great. Thank you, Candace. Hi, everyone. It's nice to meet you all. I know probably half the people here, and it's exciting to have a lot of new folks to help interview our students. And so I'm Rachida. I'm the Senior Program Manager for Inclusion and Workforce Development. Just celebrated my 10 years here. And, you know, the best part of what I do is that we get to help provide some tools to help young people navigate not just the workplace, but some great skills and professionalism when they go back to school and back into their communities. And so over the last 15 years, we've been able to pipeline our students as they graduate high school, college, and when they graduate college, we want them back here at Dana-Farber. And so, Elena, I know you just hired one of our alumni, and I think there's a couple more in the pipeline that's getting ready to graduate in May, and we'll be looking for opportunities. So within the last 15 years, we've been able to hire close to 70 of our alumni into opportunities. And so we're excited about that. A little bit more about the summer jobs program. Students will be placed in the research area, in patient care, and administrative areas. We'll have 60 interns in over 50 different departments, because we let them know that you could have an interest in just about anything and still find a career in healthcare. And so we'll have one in HR, we'll have one in, 3 of the different patient floors, in communications, in IT. And these are full-time internships. Our high school students start on June 26th. It's a 7-week internship for them, and they work through August 11th. And our college students, the majority of them starting as high school students in our program, will complete a 9-week program. Please know that they must commit to all 7 weeks or all 9 weeks. So if they indicate that they have a conflict or vacation plan during their interview, please let us know that in your interview notes, okay? In addition to the on the job, they're also participating in professional development workshops, college readiness, as well as weekly college tours. The majority of our students are the first in their families to go to college. And so we build in the college readiness piece. And then upon successfully completing the summer program, the students have the opportunity to apply for the academic year. And so we hire about 25 students to continue working part-time after school during the school year. Any questions so far? All right. So just a little bit about the application process. So we have received, close to 60 applications, and there's still some more coming in this week and next week. And we are trying to fill about 40 spots. So our current academic year students, our 20, will roll into the summer, where we'll have 40 new students, and giving us a total of 60 students. And so the students would have submitted an application. Along with their application, they submit their resume, their recommendation, as well as their report card with their attendance on it. Okay, and so I'm going to transition a little bit now to a Teams group where you will all have access to the application and the materials that you will need to interview the students. So, and you'll all get invited. Can you all see my Teams page now? Awesome. Okay. All right. So you'll have 2 folders. One gives you access to all of the students' applications. And then when you click into the students' folders, you'll see their application, their recommendation, report card, and resume. Okay, so that's where you can find the students' applications. And then I wanted to share the interview guide and schedule. And so let's go a little bit into the schedule here. And so each of you will have 3 students to interview. And I know you have all kind of signed up for a date that you'll be interviewing. And here are the times where the students will be interviewed. Okay. And then there's a second tab in the spreadsheet that will give you the students' information, the school they attend, their email address, and their contact information. We will be notifying students this week whether or not they've been, invited to interview for the week of April 10th through April 13th. And we ask that you reach out to them through email to let them know of their time, but also the Zoom link, their link. And I can explain that a little bit more, but if you can see that there's some interview notes as well that we have kind of flagged in their application. And so Thomas, when you interview Agnes, if you can inquire about Agnes's tardiness, because we did note that in her application, in her attendance, that there were some issues with tardiness. So if you can inquire about, what are you doing to improve coming to school on time, and letting them know that, this program It's about building your professionalism and coming to work on time. And so what are you doing now to ensure that you're going to show up to work on time? Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. And same thing, you know, we also kind of flagged some grades. And, you know, to be honest, this is not a program for straight A students, but if they are flunking or not doing well in certain subjects, we want to make sure that they get the support that they need this summer as well. And so if you can ask, you know, what they're doing to improve on some of their grades. Any questions about, we highlighted students who are returning for a second summer, a third summer. And if you are interviewing Precious or Victoria, we just ask that maybe, you know, push them a little bit. You know, why do you want to come back to Dana-Farber? What did you do last summer? How will you contribute to the program if you come back?
I'll just jump in. As Rachna made the comment, this is not a program for straight A students. And what do we mean by that? We know that students that are at a higher level in school oftentimes have access to many other opportunities and experiences that are available for them. We know that those that are not doing well in school or failing should in fact be in summer school. So we're trying to find that person that, you know what, might slip through the cracks or might not necessarily be noticed, but is doing, you know, decent enough in school where if given the opportunity to be in an experience like this, will excel. I just wanted to provide a little more context for that.
Thanks, Candace. We also have a copy of what the questions look like when you're interviewing the students. We do ask that you ask them all of the questions on the list. So there's 11 questions, and there are some important questions around their commitment. You know, if they have any vacation plans, please let us know. We let them know in advance that they have to be vaccinated and boosted prior to working at Dana-Farber, and just making sure that they understand that, and then ask them if they're interested in continuing into the school year. Okay, so this is actually a Word document that gives you the questions, but we have an online form that you would complete for each of the students, the 3 students. This just gives you, you know, you can kind of look at it. You can even make notes on it prior to the filling out the online form. And then there's a little brief score at the end. You know, how was the student dressed, their poise, if they answered the questions clearly, if they have a strong interest in working at Dana-Farber, asked appropriate questions, and if you recommend the candidate for employment. All right. Any questions about the form? All right. We did provide an email template. I just want to show quickly before we continue with the slide deck. And what you can do is you can just copy and paste this if you want to. Again, letting them know the date and the time of their interview, and then putting the Zoom link, embed the Zoom link inside the email. So we strongly don't recommend sending the invitation directly from Zoom. I think a personal email coming from, you know, your Outlook and then putting the Zoom link, I think works better for students. Any questions about the process?
Sorry if you mentioned this, Rachna. How long are the interview sessions?
Sure. You know, I think we had scheduled 30 minutes per student, but I think many of you know that it probably won't take 30 minutes. It might be a 20-minute conversation. Yeah, around 20 minutes each interview.
Okay, and are we scheduling the times within our day? I couldn't understand that from the Excel doc you sent earlier. It sounds like that's the intent.
Yes, so let me, I'll go back to the schedule. Yeah, so each person signed up for a day to interview. And Kevin, I believe we put you in for Monday, the 10th. And so between 2:30 and 4, you would be interviewing 3 students.
Got it. Yep, makes sense. Okay, I just wanted to confirm. Thank you.
Sure. Sarah, do you have your hands up?
Yeah, I probably missed this. Is this a paid internship and what's the rate?
Great question. It is a paid internship. It's $15 an hour for high school students and $17 an hour for undergraduate college students.
Would that be part of our screening questions? Should we speak with them about the salary or the offer rate?
You can, Tamika. I think if it comes up, you can definitely share it with them. Mhm.
Okay. And did you say there was an online form or tool that we had to complete when sharing
Yep.
feedback?
Yes, great question. So again, just a little bit of recapping. You'll get invited to the Teams group. You'll have access to students' applications. There's also a schedule, an interview schedule where you'll see, your student's name, their contact. And you know what? I didn't explain the ranking, but I'll go back to that right after, where you'll get to rank students. 1, sort of your strongly recommend your top student to be in the program. 2, and then 3. We provided a list of questions in the scorecard. And then Tamika, this is actually this form right here, this hyperlink will take you to the actual interview form, which looks like this.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, so you can even, some people will have this up and they'll interview the student right from here, typing in, the student's information, your information, and then the questions are listed right here, all the questions. And so you can even just type in your answers here.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions about this form or the process?
I just had a question. One of the questions was about their appearance.
Yes.
What are you expecting them to dress at Dana-Farber as? Just because, if you're looking at different groups of people, some people have more access
Sure.
to
And
professional wardrobes, stuff like that.
right. And so we, again, we hold our students to very high standards. We're trying to teach them the world of work and professionalism. They will be required to dress business casual when coming to work. So they're not wearing jeans, hooded sweatshirts, khakis, polo shirts when they're coming into Dana-Farber. Was that your question? Was that Megan?
Yes.
This is Megan. Hi, I actually have a different question if you don't mind.
Sure.
Last year I got one of the most common questions I received from the students was what they would actually be doing, where would they be placed? And I guess, is there information we share about that, or how do we address that question if it comes up?
Sure. That's a very common question. Thanks for bringing that up, Megan. And so we, while we are identifying students, we're also identifying departments. And so we always tell students, the more you put in the application, the better we'll be able to match you with the department. I mean, we can't promise that you're interested in psychology, you're going to be, placed in this Pop C or psychosocial oncology area. But yes, students will be supporting the day-to-day of the department, whether they're in administrative, research, or patient care areas.
I'll just add, Roger, that we do ask on the application their sort of area of interest. Because in the summer we we, will recruit students that are interested in finance, because we have placements in finance and our general counsel office. So it also might be a good time to just sort of re-ask the student, well, give me a little bit more of where you would like to potentially be placed. Again, no promises, but that could, again, be an opportunity just to go a little deeper with what that student's interest is, and if they are selected in the sub-matching process.
That's a great point, Candace. And if you could put that information, I think the student would best be suited in. And some students will say, I love office work. I'm good with Excel, and you want to put that in there. Or I like moving around and I like hands-on. If you could put that in there as well. Elena?
So I know you had mentioned a little bit about the placement. In terms of the schedule, is it going to be the same for every placement, like 8:30 to 5 or something like that? I feel like that's a question I got when we did the graduate internships too.
Sure. Great question. And you know what, I might create a 1-page FAQ for frequently asked questions from students, but they have to work the same schedule. It's a Monday to Friday, 9 to 3:30 schedule. So no weekends and no hours after 3:30. Other questions? I know I didn't get to share the ranking process, but after you interview your 3 students, we ask that you go back to the spreadsheet once it comes up here. And then here's a column for ranking. And if you could put, again, 1 being your, strongly recommend top choice student, 2, and then 3.
Rashida, could I ask a quick question? This is Lauren. When ranking, are you ranking them against quote unquote each other, or are you just doing it, kind of how is that ranking being kind of done, I guess? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would compare the 3 students.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and some of them, if they're all great, you know what, put 1 for all of them.
No, don't do that.
Okay.
Don't do that. You gotta rank.
Okay. Other questions?
When will we have access to the Teams channel?
Great question. So again, we're finalizing the interview question, the interview schedule. We will let the students know today or tomorrow that they will have been invited for interviews, and then we will send you an invite to the TeamSpace probably by tomorrow, but we ask that you don't reach out to the students till next Tuesday or Wednesday.
Got it. Okay.
And then just to kind of recap the schedule, the interview schedule. If questions come up from students that you are not able to answer, please feel free to provide them with this email address, and just let them know that, the program staff, that's a great question. The program staff will get back to you if you want to email them the question. And these slides will be up on Teams as well. I know we went over by a couple of minutes, but does anyone have any questions, or those that have interviewed students, any tips? I'm looking at Kim Dent, but I won't.
I know you are. Hi, everyone. So I guess my tip is, for a lot of these students, it's their first interview, and although they prep, you're still always nervous, right? So it's also kind of helping them and maybe giving some tips too, as part of a coaching is what I find helps too.
That's a great point. Yeah, they're going to be nervous. just please introduce yourself, maybe share a fun fact, kind of like get them a little bit feeling a little more comfortable before you kick off the questions.
Yeah, I like to look at the resume and their, obviously their courses and try to engage conversation with what they're currently doing, and it gets them to open up a lot more.
Other questions? And please know that, you can always reach out to us if you're not sure, or you haven't heard from a student, or you need us to help reach out to the student, or, yeah.
Over by a few minutes, but thank you all so much. And yes, we're definitely available if you need anything.
All right. Well, stick
This is my
around.
favorite part, just so you know. I look forward to these every year, and you guys know that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Bye.